In the previous video, we looked at the UI for the Crypto Portfolio Manager. In this video, we'll begin to look at the code starting with the data models. Let's begin with a look at the database. What you're looking at here is an entity relationship diagram, or ERD, which shows all the current database tables as they're defined. These are the tables here. Here's the fields. You can see also the relationships, and so let's start, let's say, with platforms. Platforms have wallets, wallets have accounts, accounts have account entries, and account entries are owned by transactions. A wallet also has wallet addresses, accounts have day balances. That's the kind of thing that's going on here. And so we can now go into the code and look closer at how this gets defined. If we go into the database, migrations, and so migrations is the Laravel term for creating and upgrading these tables. So these are the migrations I have now. So if I look at, let's say, the migration for the accounts table, you can see how that the accounts has name, wallet ID, and currency. There's name, wallet ID, and currency. So this defines the size of the fields, the names of the fields, and so on. It doesn't actually create the relationships yet. That we'll get to that. Something I want to point out here, so here's the account entries, and you'll see how, again, it'll have a transaction ID which it's related to. It'll have an account as well that it's related to. You'll also see amount, currency, foreign amount, and foreign currency. So we'll get into this deeper again, but I'll just introduce it here. Every transaction has a foreign amount and a local amount, which the amount is the reporting currency. For me, it's the Canadian dollar, and because that's what I report taxes in. And so all these amounts will always be in Canadian dollars for me, and the currency here will always be CAD. Now, foreign amount is used, in this case, it's going to have Bitcoin will be a foreign amount, Ethereum will be a foreign amount, any crypto coin is going to be in that foreign amount. And so an entry might have one or the other or both. And we define first the foreign amount that gets traded, and then you might recall from yesterday we had the background process, which is evaluating the transactions. It was taking these foreign amounts with the date of the transaction, looking up the conversion into Canadian dollars, and then putting in the amount of Canadian dollars for that. And that's how the valuation worked. Moving on from this, I'm going to go into the models. So we'll close the database and then the app models directory. Here's an example of a model for the account. And so the model will define the fields which are fillable. So this is pretty much, that is all of them actually, but we can prevent certain fields from being filled if we don't want them to be touched or modified. This cast, this is an interesting concept. So what this is saying is that the opening balance and the balance, they're both money, and so we use something called a money cast. And this is a structure we're going to go over in the next video. And basically this is saying when I pull a row of data from the database, the opening balance is going to be created as a combination of the opening balance field and the currency field. They will go together and create an object, a money object, which contains the opening balance. Then there's also balance itself, which is based on the same currency field, but it's taken from its own. The value comes out of the balance field. Similarly, if I update the values in those fields, and when we write to the database, this cast is going to do the reverse. It's going to deconstruct this object and put the number of the amount in this field, and it's going to put the currency value into the currency field. We've got other functions. This is a query scope. We'll get into that kind of thing later. Here's something possibly interesting, is when the program wants to apply an amount to an account, you'll send it the amount and maybe the fee, and it's going to adjust the balance by adding the amount to the balance, and if there's a fee, then it's going to subtract the fee from the balance. We've got things like relationships. So here's a case where an account has many entries, and so if I want to get the entries for an account, I just call entries, and it's going to go ahead and retrieve all those entries from the database very easily. Here's another function called getBalance. I can optionally give it a date. If I give it a date, then it'll go and find the balance as it was on that date. Otherwise, it's just going to, if I have no date, it's going to return the current balance. Here's the case where it does have a date. It's going to use the day balance model and look it up in the database where the account ID is based on this account. It's going to select based on the date comparison and pick the latest one, and it's going to return the balance on that date. Otherwise, it's going to return the opening balance for the account. Here's another relationship. So an account has a wallet, so this an account belongs to a wallet, and that's the relationship here. One more I might dive into is in the asset. So this is where for tracking your individual assets. So when it comes to tax calculations, what's going on is that when you buy Bitcoin, it's an acquisition. When you sell Bitcoin, it's a disposal. So the way this works is when you acquire, you send in the quantity, the cost, any fees involved, including that's in the reporting currency and the foreign currency. And this is going to go through a series of steps to determine things such as what the current quantity is now. It's going to add whatever quantity you got. It's going to determine the adjusted cost basis. And it's going to determine the total cost for your bag of Bitcoin. And after all that is done, then it's just going to return a structure containing all that information. This doesn't store anything in the database yet that's going to happen, but the calculations are happening here. And then here's the case of a disposal. We're doing pretty much the reverse and taking away assets. Here we're applying a transaction fee. I'll leave it at that for models. I don't think there's anything else to show. And so in the next video, we're going to cover the money object, and it's pretty interesting, I think, so stay tuned for that.